Joining me, Gemma Tonini, columnist and communications consultant, whose camera's just conveniently conked out, and Caroline Di Russo, commentator and president of the West Australian Liberals. Caroline, still no answer why Liverpool Hospital disguised Rosalia Schickberg as Karen Jones. So who do you think the hospital thought might attack her?
Well, firstly, the faffing that we got from the Premier and the Health Minister today, it tells us that they probably don't really want to tell us what happened. What I'd be interested to know, Andrew, is what about all of the other victims? Some may have been in the same hospital, some may have been in other hospitals. Did this happen in other instances, or was this an incident that just occurred at this hospital? Because for me, Andrew, and I'm very happy to be wrong, but the irresistible conclusion is that whoever the hospital administration were didn't feel like that patient was safe being identifiably Jewish, which is no doubt terrifying for her, but quite frankly is terrifying for the rest of the Australian public. I don't buy the excuse about the media. That I'm sure that they can put measures in place to make sure that in relation to certain patients there's extra levels of security for anyone who inquires about them. I mean, you think about the privacy rules that we have, Andrew. Like, if my mum wants to do something for me, she can't even do something for me. And somehow the media is going to be an issue in relation to, someone who's an inpatient at a hospital. I find that very difficult to buy. For me, at this point, and until I'm provided with a better solution, she's not safe. And if the hospital administration don't think a Jewish patient is safe in that hospital, then well, who knows?
Gemma, who do you think she's not safe from? Who do you think?
Sorry, Andrew, I missed that. Say that again for me.
No, that's what I said last night, but Gemma?
Yes. I mean, look, I was a working journalist for a decade and I specifically covered the health round when I worked for a commercial television network in Western Australia. The media excuse is a BS excuse. That is an absolute nonsense proposition. And anyone who's spent more than 35 seconds in a working newsroom of any medium will tell you that that is a BS excuse. So the questions that should be pursued are, why was it done? Who was it done by? Where was the documentation? And as Caroline rightly asked, were there any other patients in relation to Bondi who had their names changed who were at that hospital? It is an unacceptable explanation and it deserves to be prosecuted further. And I just feel like that answer was so far beneath a Premier who has up until now been pretty sure-footed on these issues.
Yeah, it is weird why we're not told specifically who the threat was.
It's not weird. It comes to the exact point that former Prime Minister Morrison raised in his speech, tiptoeing around issues. You cannot deal with things unless you confront them and name them.
Caroline, talking about that speech of Scott Morrison, what do you think? The idea of having governments oversee and potentially themselves license preachers, Muslim preachers, or force Muslim institutions to do that?
Well, I think that the conversation that you had in the previous segment, hit the nail on the head. The fact of the matter is that the government is not going to just deal with one religion. They're going to deal with all of them, right? And that they're just goes without saying. We've already seen this week, and no doubt that you've reported on it, the Israeli influencer who wasn't allowed to come into Australia because of, certain things that he'd said. And I'm like, well, why are we dealing with this, side issue? Yes, it's the same sort of idea and the same sort of legislation, but why aren't we dealing with the crux of the issue? Some Jewish influencer is not the actual practical problem that we're having at the moment. The fact of the matter is you're going to end up with government legislation that is going to be across the board unsatisfactory, and all religions are different. I'm of the Catholic faith. that's not going to surprise you at all. But there's already so much regulation and institution in the Catholic Church that keeps everyone on the straight and narrow. And look, I agree, certain things have happened in the past. It's an absolute shame on the Catholic Church. But there is already a lot of regulation there that governs the way that Catholicism is practiced in this country. Not necessarily every other religion is the same.
Now, Caroline, in the break you said, well, the big churches here, they do licence priests already, or ministers, whatever. But if I wanted to, I could set up my own Hillsong tomorrow. And the issue here is if the Muslim community, they don't have big church, big employers like that. They do it individually, and anyone can be a preacher. You can't impose that on them.
I think that was me, Andrew, but we often get mistaken for the same person, so we're quite okay with it, to be honest.
I thought I'd just say Gemma, sorry.
No, it's totally fine. We're very much used to it. There's only one ethnic woman on TV this year, apparently. But look, it's true. And the point that I wanted to make was that Pentecostal churches, Catholic, as Caroline said, Anglican, there is already a system whereby ministers are licensed by the denomination. And look, you could probably set up your own church, Andrew. Good luck getting a lot of followers. The point is that the Christian denominations already have...
There's a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. You and me both. They already have processes in place whereby there is oversight, there is licensing and there is regulation. Why wouldn't the Muslim community want to do that? Why wouldn't you?
It's not set up that way. The faith doesn't have that. They don't have the big churches.
Well,
you can't just, you know, there's
you don't have to be a big
Shia
church.
Orthodox church.
Sure.
Then it's just individual. Pick yourself.
Well, it's the
I think that
conversation
bishop that
to be
got stabbed in
had.
the eye, I think he appointed himself. You know, that's the thing. It's the freedom.
He was
why should it apply to any other
He was a
religion
Maronite
except that?
Christian from memory. My point is, it's about, you don't just let anyone teach your kid at school, do you? There's oversight over teachers, and it's the same
that's
concept.
Consumer choice.
It's the same concept, but I think it's probably more time than we have for.
Got to go. Yeah, I'm afraid. Gemma Tonini, Caroline Di Russo, thanks to you both.